we are going to learn today. The subject will be the subject is writing and reporting news. And I want to welcome you to this class. And maybe to ask a question, are we all in? Hello? Are we? Am I here? I'm clear. Okay, let us begin our lesson. And I said that we are learning writing and reporting news. And in this, I want you to know I want us to know what news are before we continue. Who can define for us what news are? Milka? Yes, Milka? Not getting you. Milka? Yes? Yes. Okay. Yes. These are the new happenings in the society that are being reported by our reporters, or what we call journalists. And concerning the news, we have news values, and I want us to define what news values are. This is the criteria that influence the selection and the presentation of events as published by our newspapers, as aired in our radios, as we can view in our televisions. So what influenced the selection of this news is what we call the news values. And to make this news, or to make this news that we find in our newspapers, in our radios, we ought to answer the questions that we have in form of 5 W's and a H. And these are: 1, for the 5 W's we have what, where, who, when, and how these events happen. Next, in our next slide, if we can see we see our slides? Class, can we see our slides? Yes, so maybe Lynette, can you hear me? Lynette, can you read for us the first 2 news values? Yes. Yes, 2. Yes, we have timeliness. So for the news to be worth, or for whatever to be, or for these things to be called news, they should be of interest to the audience. They should be the news that have just happened. And for the prominence, they should cover the people that are well known in the society, like the celebrities. Then we have the 3rd and the 4th. Lois? 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 Can you read for me the second 2? ODT. Yes? Yes? Influence the kind of... Yes? Yes. Number 4. Yes, thank you. So we have the novelty and the unusualness, the news or the stories that don't happen or that happen in a weird or unexpected way. We have another set of the news values, that is the currency. Sorry, we have currency. And these are the developing stories that are still fresh in the minds of the audience, the stories that has just happened. We have human interest. These are also stories that provoke emotions, and they are the stories that bring anger, amusement, or even maybe happiness amongst the audience. These are the news or the stories that make our audience to be interested much and want to know about whatever we have written. Another one, we have significance, and this, the story should touch a large group of people. It should cover a wide range, say that it should be the news. These are the stories that are relevant to many. They should be relevant to many people in the society. Next, we have conflict, and these are the stories that should be able to trigger the public interest. Another one, we have completeness. Completeness are stories that make people to have good decision making. E.g., these are the stories that maybe guide people or give people direction to do something. For example, getting recipes for cooking. When you give people a recipe to cook, it means that you are making them to be complete. You are completing their desires. Maybe someone has been longing to know about something for a long time and they have not gotten time. So when you give them these stories of completeness, they make them complete. They find that they are at home. So those are the news values that makes our stories worth to be published in the newspapers. And to finalize our lesson, we have the summary. And I want to ask Milka to read for us the summary, if you can see my slide. Yes, we have seen the news values, and this tells us whether a story that we have at hand is either news or not. That is why we say news values are used when determining whether or not to cover an event or an announcement. These are the criteria that we make to define what news stories are. And maybe before we end the lesson, let me ask if there is anyone with a question. Do we have a question? If there is no question, class, the last slide, as you can see, is written assignment. So I want us to go and do a research and try to explain how 5 W's and a H are used in writing effective news stories, and that question carries 10 marks. So because there is no answer, or maybe if there is anyone with anything to add, and if we don't have anything to add, let me end our class until next week, when we shall meet again. Otherwise, have a good evening, and thank you for joining this class. Bye.